Okay, so we're back online. New drone battery in. Just got to get the transmitter speaking to Litchi. Then we should be good to go. So it's going to load up one more mission for Gus. We'll give that one a whiz. I might flick the drone into sports mode too. We'll just see what sort of max speed we can get out of it, just so you can see the kind of speed that it is capable of. I'm lucky today. There's not really anyone at school, so I can do a bit of a speedy flyover. Just to have a bit of a look in manual mode. Okay, so we'll get the drone in the air. So flying manually is always a little bit more rough to look at in terms of the camera quality. So you'll always get a much better picture quality flying a waypoint mission. Okay, so we've got the wreck right there, and we've got the other far corner of the school here. So just go to map mode for a second. Just show you very quickly. The furthest distance we've got on our school is right at the top here, and I'll mark a waypoint. I'm not going to fly a waypoint. So this point here is our property, and the largest distance of property we have is from there to this point up here. Okay, so I can't really legally fly past those points. That's about 1/2 kilometre of distance in total. As you can see there, it's marked it as 443 metres. So I'm going to go to that number 1 point, and I'll put it into sports mode, and I'll give it full gas and see what sort of speed we can get to the other side. So I'll click it off waypoint, go back to my camera view. Now my altitude at the moment is 38 metres, okay? So that's high enough not to run into anything or anyone. And you can see over here, even though I'm flying above our property, I am looking over to places that don't belong to us. So that is actually okay. You're not allowed to fly over populated areas, not without express permission and permits and all of those sorts of things. But for us to be over our property and having a look, that's okay. So we'll get over this corner, which is the furthest point I can get to this corner of those beautiful autumn trees. We'll point the drone back in the other direction. Just check my altitude again. So we're at 38 metres high. So I might pop it up just a little bit. Just get us up to 50 metres just for safety purposes. Now flick it into sports mode. So this is really just for getting around. It's not for taking very good pictures or anything. So if you look at the bottom of your screen where it says altitude, you've got 48.8. Distance, 191.8. So that's distance from where I took off. And speed is next to that. So that's at O at the moment because I'm not moving it at all. Now theoretically we should be able to get it up to about 60 k's an hour. Depending on the wind and a few other factors, we might get a little bit more or less than that. But either way, let's give it a whiz. All right, that is full gas. Come on, drone. All right, so we've cracked 50. That's pretty good. So we might have to do a flyby in the other direction. If we can't get better than 60, I dare say it's because the drone is pushing into a bit of wind. So if we can get the wind behind us, we might actually be able to crack that 60 k's an hour. Just have a look up there. See old Mount Warren Heap over here in the distance. Where is Mount Warren Heap? There it is. So Mount Warren Heap's not actually that far away, and at a 7k range we could actually fly to there. But again, we'd be flying over property that's not ours, so that would be why we wouldn't do it. So we'll come back. Now, I've got a feeling that we'll have the wind behind us now. Let's see if we can bust past that 60 kilometre limit. Come on, let's go. Go, go, go. Oh, you beauty. That's 60 k's an hour. Now, it mightn't seem like it's going that fast. The further up in the air you are, the slower things seem. But that's a 60k flyover of the school there. Oh, we've got up to 62 there. That's not bad. 63. That's about as quick as you'll ever see it go. Awesome. All right, well, enough fluffing around. We've got a mission to fly. So, flicking to waypoint, hitting my load button, finding Gus. Gus, there you are. And we'll press play on Gus's work. Very quickly make sure we've got no waypoints below 30 metres. You can see a few at 30, which is good. That's what we want for those deliveries. What do we got? We got lots of waypoints. I cannot see any below 30, so let's rock and roll.
Warning, failed to upload the mission.
Goodness me, that doesn't happen very often. Let's try again. Gus.
Warning, failed to upload the mission.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. So I'm just back on my laptop here very quickly. And I'm going to import Gus's mission, which is the way he sent it to me. So you won't see my laptop on your screen. I'll get Gus's mission and we'll re-import it. Might have been an error at my end. So we'll just see if we can get that sorted. So over on my laptop, on my Litchi screen, I've just imported Gus's mission, and it looks fine. Just might have been a problem with the saving. So we'll save that again. We'll call it Gus try 2. Okay, so if I've saved that over on my Litchi laptop version, I should hopefully be able to see it over here as well. So looking for Gus number 2. There we go, Gus try 2. Let's see how we go. Fingers crossed.
Warning, failed to upload the mission.
Yeah. Alright, well we must have some sort of glitch in the CSV file, either that Gus has sent, or it might be that I've looked at it in Excel and saved it incorrectly or something like that, but there's some sort of mismatch in the data here that it doesn't like. So I'm not going to be able to fly Gus's mission. Now I've had a close look at Gus's mission and there's no hassles with it, and I can certainly make an assessment with it. I don't have to fly the mission to be able to do that. So my apologies, Gus. I'll have to have a look at that at home. I'm not quite sure what's gone wrong, because usually if it loads, as it has, and it looks the way it looks, it will normally play without too much hassle. That is...
Warning, failed to upload the mission.
That is gravely disappointing. Alright, well I might quickly see if I've got any others here, because the drone's in the sky and I'm at school. I don't want to waste this time. So let's see what I've got over on my laptop. Let's see if I've got someone else's. I think Jimmy had sent me through a couple of missions. Let's see if I can find one of his. What do we got here? Now I've got one for Blake. Let's see if that one looks alright. Now, sorry there's nothing exciting happening on your screen at the moment. I'll put it on that view so you can have a look over Fussell Street and Victoria Street. So I'm just importing Blake's and we'll see if we can save that one. Okay, that's saved over in Litchi. Let's see if we can open it up on the drone. Where are you, Blake? There we go. Alright. Take 2. Check our waypoints there. Everything looks like it's at a sensible height. 40, 40, 30, 40, 30, 40, 40, 30. And nothing lower.
Warning, failed to upload the mission.
Oh, goodness. Oh, reason mode error. Please make sure. Let's just see that again. Oh, I can see what's happening. I'm still in sports mode. Goodness me. That is such a rookie error. Alright, so Blake's is going to work. Gus, I'm so sorry about that. Gus's will work too. That's my own fault for doing a speed run and not flicking it out of sports mode. I should have just read the message on the screen. I would have realised that sooner. So, let's fly Blake's. We've still got 16 minutes of flight time. We should be able to get through Gus's as well. So, Blake's is looking the goods. What I really like to see as you fly is that it gets from point to point at 40 metres high, And when you reach that delivery point, that's what we're going to take that photo, that it does that almost on top of itself drop to 30 metres and then back to 40 before it moves on to the next one. So hopefully we'll get that. Car park is delivery point number 1. We want to see it drop to 30. Yep, nice one, Blake, down to 30. And a photo would have been taken at that point, marking the delivery. Then moving on to our next point. Doing some cool spins on the spot there, Blake. I'm not sure how you did that, but I like it. Now we're flying backwards here. It is a good cinematic effect, but it's not the most safe way to fly. Just like when you're walking around, if you walk forwards, you can see where you're going. If you walk backwards, you can't see where you're going. So the drone, as I stated earlier, does have the sensors at the front and on the bottom, so flying forwards is always your best option. So on our map view here, can see that the drone is, so what have we got? I can definitely see he's got a point of interest here for that first delivery. You can see his little camera there with a 1 on it, but I don't think he's put in points of interest for his other delivery points. So this whole mission, it's going to be looking over at that first delivery point, which was on the staff car park. Okay, so this is just a minor oversight. Everything else looks really clean here, Blake. But as you can see, the drone flying in here and dropping to 30 metres, as it drops to that 30 metre point, we really want the drone to be looking basically underneath itself. So you've got the waypoints here, you would just need to add the point of interest there. And then on your lower waypoints, like on waypoint number 12, you would want to have that looking at a point of interest almost underneath itself. So in terms of its flight, really good, Blake. It's going exactly where it's meant to go, but it's not looking exactly where we need it to look. Interesting to note there, you can see the drone just going past that little number 238. So it's indicating how many metres it is flying between waypoints. I'll zoom up nice and close on these waypoints here, so you can see there as it drops from points 14 to 15 and 16, coming in at 40, dropping to 30 and going up to 40 again. If we look at that from the drone's point of view, from the camera point of view, it basically looks like it's just dropping on the spot and going back up on the spot, which is perfect, which is exactly what you were asked to do, Blake. So nice work on that front. That might be your longest travel there, 316 metres. We've got a couple more deliveries to make before it finishes at waypoint number 27. Let's have a look at what the camera's looking at. Now, as it cruises, I do have the option to manually control the camera to look up and down. So that stuff is set with your waypoint. But for the sake of us having a little look around, I will have a little play with that. Oval's looking exceptionally green out there. All this wet weather we've been having. Nice one. We've still got 11 minutes of flight time there, so we should be able to fit Gus's in. So yeah, you wouldn't need to do much to this mission to make it A+, Blake. If you are happy with what you've got, I can certainly make an assessment, but if you want to crank it up to A+ quality, just get those points of interest in at each delivery point, and you'll have the perfect mission. Drop into 30, back up to 40 before it moves on to its next waypoint. So we've aimed to simulate deliveries, which is a thing that drones do. Another thing that drones are getting used more and more for are emergency services. I know the fire brigade in Melbourne have an extraordinary drone that they use to enter buildings. It is much better to use a machine like a drone to enter a dangerous building than to send people in there. So you can send the drone in to check for signs of life and check for danger before you send people in. And if a building was going to fall down, you're much better to send a drone in and lose a drone than to send a person in and lose a person. So that's one thing that drones are used for. It can also be equipped with a hotspot camera. So after a bushfire, there's always a real serious chance of places that have been burnt starting fires again. And they often do send helicopters in with thermal imaging cameras to check for hotspots, and then ground crews can get down there and put water on those spots. Good flight there, by the way, Blake. So I'm just going to load up Gus's. Let's try. Now, there shouldn't be any problems here. It wasn't a problem with your mission after all, Gus. It was just a problem with Mr. Cleary pressing buttons he shouldn't press. Now, we checked all your waypoints and the heights were all good. So let's let it cruise. So as I was saying, when there has been a bushfire, it is common practice for a helicopter to fly over burnt areas with a thermal camera to look for hotspots. And that works fine, but putting a helicopter in the sky is always a really expensive operation. Plus, if you've got a helicopter in the sky, you've got people in it. So those people are always going to be at risk if they're flying around in a chopper. If you send up a drone, there's no one in the drone. So the people who are at risk of being in the sky are no longer at risk. The thermal imaging camera that can be set on a helicopter can just as easily be set onto a drone, and a drone can be deployed really quickly and easily. And if you use things like waypoint mission flying, you don't even have to be a good drone flyer. You guys have made exceptional missions. We've flown 5 today, and there was nothing wrong with any of these missions. And if we were flying over an area that had been burnt, all you would have to do is just do sweeps, basically, at a sensible speed, so about 15 k's an hour, which is what we're doing at the moment, and you would spot hot spots, and you just have to get on your walkie-talkie, tell the ground crew where those hot spots are, and they'd be able to get down there in the fire truck and apply a bit of water to those spots, and save flare-ups from occurring. Also hear of drones being used for shark spotting on the coast. Again, they've been doing that with choppers and planes for a long time, and it works fine. It's just really expensive. Helicopters are expensive. Paying pilots is expensive. All these things are really expensive. And if you lose a chopper, choppers cost, $1 million, a brand new decent chopper. Drones cost nothing like that. And, if you send a drone out to look for sharks and it's doing a pretty good job, but one day it falls out of the sky, no one has died, and you've lost a couple of $1,000s worth of equipment rather than potentially millions of dollars worth of equipment. So that's another area where drones are being deployed, and you can do that in the same way we're setting up our waypoint missions. You could set up a waypoint mission that would scout along a beach, and you just need someone on the other end who can keep a bit of an eye on whether or not there's a shark there or not. The other thing is you can set up, there are cameras now that will recognise anomalies in places. So just like a thermal camera can spot a hot spot, cameras can be set up to look for different types of movement. So you can hear my battery beeping. According to the green and red line along the top, we've got 6 minutes of flight time left and 27% battery. So it is going to beep, and it is going to sound pretty annoying, but it's not going to fall out of the sky. And if it gets to a point where the drone knows that it only has enough battery to safely land, it will take over, and that's what it will do. So it's programmed not to crash. And in almost 3 years of service here at school, the drone it's never crashed on us. It's chopped up quite a few bees and a few wasps. And we have lost transmitter contact with it a handful of times. But again,
Warning, aircraft battery at 24%.
the program for loss of transmitter signal is just to return to home. So if I turn the transmitter off now, the drone would come back to the spot where it took off from. It would hover there at a safe height of maybe 40 metres until the battery got really low, and then it would just land itself on the same spot. Now, how are we going here, Gus? I haven't been taking heaps of notice, to be honest. I've been just talking about drones spotting hotspots and things like that. But your mission's looking pretty clean. I can see you dropping to that 30 metres each time. And what do we got here? So here, Blake, you'll notice that he has those little camera icons. They're the point of interest icons. So he's got one of those at every delivery point. So that's what
Warning, aircraft battery at 20%.
Alright, so how many more waypoints have we got to do? 23 over here. Okay, so Gus, your mission's good, but because we're low on battery, I'm going to let it fly over to the VCE centre, which is close to this point where I want to land it anyway, the H point, and I will land it from there. So we're at 90% battery. It'd probably be fine, but better to be safe than sorry. So to Gus, Noah, Blake, Molly and Doug, thank you for letting me fly your missions. They were all exceptional and successful flights, and thank you all for your time.